Hey there, welcome back. Let me ask you something. Did you vote last year thinking Social Security benefits would finally be tax-free? If so, you weren't alone. That promise came up a lot during the 2024 campaign, especially from Trump. Many folks were hopeful, especially retirees who depend on those benefits just to get by. But now it's 2025, there's a brand new tax bill on the table. And guess what's not in it? That's right, no tax break on Social Security. For millions of Americans, this isn't just another political headline, it's personal. Social Security isn't some distant thing, it's what many seniors live on. So when a big promise like this doesn't materialize, it stings. That's why today, we're going to break down what happened, why the promise was made, and what the new bill actually includes instead. And before we dive in, let me know in the comments, did you expect Social Security to be tax-free this year? What do you think about how things have played out? If you find this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future updates. I always aim to keep things honest, clear, and useful. Let's start with the promise. During his 2024 campaign, President Trump made a bold pledge: no more federal income tax on tips, overtime pay, and yes, Social Security benefits. The idea was to ease the burden on working families and retirees, two groups squeezed by inflation and stagnant incomes. It resonated, especially with seniors living on fixed incomes, many of whom still pay taxes on the benefits they spent decades earning. If you're one of those people, you probably thought, finally, some relief is coming. Maybe you even budgeted expecting to keep more of your check. But the reality is different. The tax bill House Republicans are now pushing doesn't include a Social Security tax break at all. So, what is in the bill? Instead of eliminating the tax on benefits, the bill includes a few smaller relief measures. One key item is a $4,000 income tax deduction for people 65 and older, if your modified adjusted gross income is below $75,000, or $150,000 for couples filing jointly. That's helpful, but it's not the same as making Social Security tax-free. A deduction lowers the income you're taxed on, it doesn't eliminate the tax itself. So if you were expecting a full exemption, this likely isn't what you had in mind. Why was the tax break left out? There are a few reasons. First, there's a rule in the Senate called the Byrd Rule. It says that any bill passed through the reconciliation process, which lets you bypass a filibuster, has to be directly tied to the federal budget. Changes to Social Security tax policy don't qualify under that rule, so you'd need 60 votes to pass them. And with today's political divide, that's a tough number to hit. Then there's the financial side. This might surprise you, but taxes on Social Security benefits bring in a lot of money. In 2025 alone, those taxes are expected to bring in over $100 billion, around $60.8 billion for Social Security and $42.6 billion for Medicare. That funding helps keep the programs going. If you remove those taxes without replacing the revenue, the trust funds would run dry even faster. Right now, the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be depleted by 2034. If benefits stopped being taxed, that could happen by 2032. And if taxes on tips and overtime are also cut, some estimates say we'd see benefit cuts of up to 33% by 2035. That's the trade-off: more money now, or a more stable future. And it's not an easy decision. It comes down to what kind of priorities we have, and how we balance short-term relief with long-term sustainability. Now, let's talk about what else is in the tax plan. Aside from the deduction for seniors, the current GOP proposal does include temporary tax breaks on tips and overtime income. It also raises the child tax credit from $2,000 to $2,500. But there's a catch: many lower-income families won't benefit from the increase because they don't owe enough taxes to use it. And then there's the flip side. The bill includes up to $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. These cuts come with new work requirements and reduced federal funding for certain state programs. Critics say these cuts hit vulnerable groups, like seniors and low-income families, while the biggest benefits go to the wealthiest Americans. One analysis showed the top 0.1% of earners would receive more from the bill than the bottom half of Americans combined. So where does this leave retirees and Social Security recipients? Well, here's another twist. Most lower-income seniors already pay little to no tax on their benefits. So repealing the tax altogether would mostly help higher-income retirees. The Tax Policy Center says the top 20% of beneficiaries would get over $7,000 in tax cuts each year, while lower-income retirees would see little or no change. That's led to criticism that a full tax repeal would make the system less fair and less progressive. But Trump hasn't dropped the idea completely. He continues to talk about eliminating the tax in public speeches, calling it outdated and unfair. And you can understand that frustration. Why should you be taxed on money you already paid into the system? It's a valid point. But making it happen is more complicated than it might seem on the campaign trail. Once it gets to Congress, things like budget rules, revenue shortfalls, and political opposition make it a much steeper climb. So, what can you do right now? If you're over 65 and make under $75,000 a year, look into the new $4,000 deduction. It might help lower your tax bill slightly. But if you were counting on a full exemption, keep your eye on future proposals. This bill isn't final yet, there's still room for negotiations. For now, though, that Social Security tax break is off the table. Let me know in the comments, do you think Social Security should be taxed? Or should we find a way to make it tax-free without hurting the program's future? Also, if you've ever been surprised by how much tax came out of your check, share your experience. You might help someone else who's going through the same thing. Thanks for sticking with me through a tough but important topic. The way we handle Social Security, tax policy, and promises to retirees says a lot about who we are as a country. So let's keep this conversation going. Subscribe for more updates, and I'll be back soon with the latest news and what it means for your wallet.